My wife called me a liar about childhood abuse after I broke down crying while watching a show about trauma that reminded me of my babysitter who assaulted me when I was 10 years old, so I packed my bags and stayed with my friend. My wife Gloria, 27M, and I, 28F, have been together for 7 years and married for almost 3 years now. We both work regular jobs, share household duties, and spend most evenings watching shows or cooking together. My younger brother Jake recommended this new series to us about 2 weeks ago. He said it was good but heavy, something about trauma and obsession. Gloria and I usually trust his recommendations because he introduced us to some of our favorite shows. I need to tell you about something that happened when I was younger. When I was 10 years old, my parents hired a college student named Steven to watch me and my younger brother Tom while they worked late shifts. Tom was only 5 at the time. Steven was around 19 or 20 and came from a family my parents knew through church. He seemed normal at first. My parents trusted him completely because his mother sang in the choir with my mom. The first few times Steven babysat, nothing happened. He just let us watch TV and ordered pizza. But then things changed. It started small. He would ask me to sit next to him on the couch while Tom played with his toys on the floor. Then he started touching my leg. Then my thigh. I remember freezing up each time. I did not know what to do. I was 10 and he was an adult in charge of us. It got worse over the next several months. He would wait until Tom fell asleep on the couch or went to bed early. Then he would tell me to come sit with him in the living room. He touched me in ways that made my stomach hurt. He made me take off my shirt and pants. He tried putting his mouth on me. He tried making me touch him. Every time I froze. I could not move or speak. My body just locked up. The worst part is that Steven figured out how to make me complicit. After each time, he gave me things. Candy bars I was not allowed to have. Extra time on the Nintendo DS my parents usually limited. New games he bought that I wanted but my parents said were too expensive. I started looking forward to those rewards even though I hated what came before them. My brain got confused about the whole thing. I wanted him to come over so I could get the gifts but I also felt sick when he touched me. He also told me that if I ever said anything to anyone, he would hurt me and make sure Tom got hurt too. He said he knew where we went to school and what route we walked home. I believed him. I never told anyone while it was happening. Steven stopped babysitting us after he graduated from college and moved to another state for a job. Just like that, he was gone. I tried to push everything down and act normal. My parents never knew anything happened. Tom definitely did not know. I went back to being a regular kid on the outside. But when I was around 15, something clicked in my brain. We had a health class discussion about consent and boundaries. The teacher talked about how children cannot consent to anything with adults. I sat at my desk and everything came rushing back. All those nights with Steven. The touching. The threats. The rewards. I realized what had actually happened to me. I made the mistake of trying to talk about it. First with my parents. They are strict Catholics who do not believe in psychology or modern therapy. When I told them what Steven did, they did not believe me. My father said I was making up stories because I watched too much inappropriate stuff online. He said the internet corrupted my mind and I needed to go to confession. Then he hit me. Not just a slap. He punched me in the stomach and shoved me against the wall. My mother stood there and watched. After my father left the room, she grounded me for a month for lying and trying to ruin a good Christian boy's reputation. I also tried telling some friends at school. The guys in my group laughed and said I was lucky. They asked crude questions about what Steven did and whether I enjoyed it. They made jokes about it for weeks. The girls I was friends with did not believe me either. They said I was making it up for attention or trying to be edgy. One of them told other people at school that I was a liar. After that, I decided to never bring it up again. I locked it away and told myself I was over it. I met Gloria when I was 21. We started dating and everything felt easy with her. She is kind and patient. We moved in together after a year. Got married 2 years after that. I never told her about Steven. I convinced myself it did not matter anymore because it was in the past and I had moved on. 2 weeks ago, we started watching the show Jake recommended. I knew going in that it dealt with abuse and stalking. I thought I could handle it because I believed I was past everything with Steven. The first 3 episodes were fine. Uncomfortable but manageable. Then we got to episode 4. There was a scene where the main character broke down about abuse he experienced as a child. The way the actor played it, the way the character described feeling paralyzed and confused, it was exactly how I felt with Steven. I could feel my chest tightening. My hands started shaking. Gloria did not notice at first because she was focused on the screen. By the end of the episode, I was barely holding myself together. Gloria suggested we watch one more episode before bed. I should have said no but I just nodded. Episode 5 was worse. There was a flashback scene showing the abuse in detail. Not graphic but enough. I felt like I was back in my childhood living room with Steven sitting next to me and Tom asleep on the floor. My eyes started watering. I tried to hide it but Gloria saw. She paused the show and turned to look at me. She asked if I was okay. I could not answer at first. Then everything came out. I told her about Steven. About being 10 years old and frozen while he touched me. About the candy and the video games and how my brain got twisted. About telling my parents and getting beaten by my father. About my friends laughing or calling me a liar. I told her I thought I was over it, but the show brought everything back. I was talking fast and probably not making complete sense. She just sat there listening. When I finished, she said she was sorry it happened to me. She hugged me and we sat on the couch for a while without talking. Then we went to bed. I could not sleep much that night, but I thought telling her was the right thing to do. The next morning, I apologized for dumping that on her out of nowhere. I said I was sorry for ruining our night and making things heavy. She said it was fine and that I did not need to apologize. But something in her voice was different. She seemed distracted while making coffee. She left for work earlier than usual. Over the next week, things changed between us. Small things at first. She stopped kissing me when I came home from work. She used to always greet me at the door with a kiss and ask about my day. Now she just stayed in whatever room she was in and called out a hello. She stopped initiating anything physical. We used to have a healthy, intimate life, but after that night, she never started anything. When I tried, she said she was tired or had a headache. She was not mean or rude. She still talked to me about regular stuff like bills and groceries and what to watch on TV. But there was a distance. Like a wall went up between us. I tried asking if something was wrong. She said no. I asked if I made her uncomfortable by telling her about Steven. She said I was being paranoid and that nothing was bothering her. But I could tell something was off. 3 days ago, we had an argument. A stupid one. I asked her to take out the trash before she left for work because I had an early meeting and would not have time. She said she did it. When I got home that evening, the trash was still sitting by the door, full and starting to smell. I texted her asking why she did not take it out like she said. She texted back saying she forgot and would do it tomorrow. When she got home, I brought it up again. I said it was not about the trash but about her saying she did something when she did not. She got defensive and said I was making a big deal out of nothing. The argument escalated. We were both saying things we did not mean. Then she stopped mid-sentence and said something that made my blood go cold. She said at least she was not lying about being raped like some narcissistic attention seeker. I stood there staring at her. I could not process what she just said. She was comparing a lie about taking out trash to me telling her about being abused as a child. She was calling me a liar. She was saying I made up the whole thing with Steven. After I finally trusted her enough to tell her the worst thing that ever happened to me, she threw it back in my face. She immediately tried to take it back. She said she did not mean it and that she was just angry and said something stupid. She reached for my arm but I pulled away. I went to our bedroom and packed some clothes in a bag. She followed me asking where I was going and saying we needed to talk. I did not respond. I just packed my things and left. I have been staying at my friend Walter's place for the past 3 days. Gloria has called me probably 20 times. I blocked her number after the first 10 calls. She texted from a different number but I did not respond. Walter asked what happened and I told him the basics. He said I could stay as long as I needed. Part of me knows I should probably leave her. When someone shows you who they really are, you should believe them. She showed me that she does not believe me about the abuse. Or maybe she believes me but thinks I am weak or damaged because of it. Either way, she used the most painful thing I ever told her as a weapon in a stupid argument about trash. But another part of me does not want to throw away 7 years. She is the only person I ever fell in love with. Before this, our relationship was good. We rarely fought. We supported each other. I keep thinking maybe she really did just say something horrible in the heat of the moment. People say things they do not mean when they are angry. I also keep wondering if I did something wrong. Maybe I should not have told her about Steven. Maybe men are not supposed to share that kind of thing with their wives. Maybe she lost respect for me because I cried in front of her. Maybe she thinks less of me now because I was a victim. I know those thoughts are probably wrong but I cannot stop having them. I do not know what to do. My gut says this relationship is over. But my heart says I'm giving up too easily. Walter says I should at least talk to her and hear her out. But I do not know if I can ever forget what she said. How do you come back from your spouse calling you a liar about childhood trauma? Update 1. I did not think I would be back here but some things happened and I need outside perspective again. After my first post, I stayed at Walter's place for another week. Gloria kept trying to reach me. She sent emails, texts from different numbers, even showed up at Walter's apartment twice. The first time, Walter answered the door and told her I did not want to see her. The second time, I was there when she knocked. I opened the door and she started crying immediately. She said we needed to talk and that she made a terrible mistake. I told her I was not ready and closed the door. She stood outside for about 15 minutes before leaving. After 2 weeks of staying at Walter's, I decided I needed to go back to our apartment at least to get more of my things. I timed it for when I knew Gloria would be at work. I took Walter with me in case things got uncomfortable. When we got there, the apartment was clean. Too clean. Gloria usually keeps things tidy but this was different. Everything was organized like she was preparing for something. On the kitchen table, there was a letter. My name was written on the envelope in her handwriting. Walter said I should read it, but I put it in my pocket and finished packing my stuff. I filled 2 large suitcases with clothes, my laptop, and some personal items. Walter helped me carry everything to his car. The whole time I kept looking at the door expecting Gloria to come home early, but she did not. I read the letter that night at Walter's. It was 4 pages long. She apologized over and over for what she said during our argument. She wrote that she had no excuse and that she understood if I could never forgive her. Then she wrote something that caught me off guard. She said the reason she got distant after I told her about Stephen was because she did not know how to process it. She said she felt inadequate and worried that she could not help me or be what I needed. She wrote that she pulled away because she was scared of saying or doing the wrong thing. Then at the end, she wrote that if I wanted a divorce, she would not fight it. I sat with that letter for a few days. Part of me wanted to believe her explanation. But another part kept coming back to what she said during the argument. You do not accidentally call someone a liar about trauma. That thought does not just appear in your head during a fight unless you actually believe it on some level. Walter suggested I at least meet with her in a public place to talk. He said I deserved answers and closure either way. After going back and forth, I agreed. I texted Gloria from a new number and asked if she would meet me at a coffee shop near our apartment. She responded within a minute saying yes. We met yesterday afternoon. She got there early and was already sitting at a table in the corner when I arrived. She looked different. Thinner in the face. Dark circles under her eyes. She stood up when she saw me but did not try to hug me. We both sat down and I waited for her to start. She repeated what was in the letter. She apologized for what she said and explained that she panicked after I told her about Stephen. She said she grew up in a family where emotions were not discussed and she did not know how to handle someone sharing something so heavy. She said she started researching childhood trauma online after I told her and it overwhelmed her. She read about long-term effects and how it impacts relationships and she convinced herself she was going to fail me. I asked her directly if she believed me about what Stephen did. She said yes. I asked her why she said what she said during our argument then. She looked down at her coffee and took a long time to answer. Finally, she said it because she knew it would hurt me and she wanted to hurt me in that moment because she was angry. That answer hit me hard. It was honest at least. She did not make excuses or try to say it slipped out. She admitted she wanted to hurt me and chose the thing that would hurt the most. I asked her if she understood that using someone's trauma as a weapon meant the relationship was probably over. She started crying and said she understood but hoped I could eventually forgive her. I told her I needed more time and that I could not promise anything. She nodded and said she would wait as long as I needed. We sat there for a few more minutes without talking. Then I left. That should be the end of it. I should probably just file for divorce and move on. But something happened 2 days ago that complicated everything. My brother Tom called me. We talk maybe once a month usually. He is 30 now and lives a few hours away with his girlfriend. He said Gloria reached out to him on social media. She told him what happened between us and asked if he remembered anything about Stephen the babysitter. Tom said he did not remember much because he was so young. But he remembered Stephen giving us candy and video games. He remembered me being weird and quiet whenever Stephen was around. He said he never understood why I changed during that period but now it made sense. Then he said something that floored me. He said when he was around 7 or 8, so a few years after Stephen stopped babysitting us, he overheard our parents talking about Stephen. Our mother was telling our father that Stephen got arrested in the state he moved to. Tom did not hear the full conversation but he heard the words arrested and children. I called Tom back and asked him to repeat what he just told me. He said he was sure about overhearing that conversation. He remembers it because it scared him at the time even though he did not understand what it meant. He never brought it up to our parents or me because he was young and forgot about it until Gloria contacted him. After talking to Tom, I did something I should have done years ago. I searched Stephen's name online along with the state he moved to after college. It took some digging through old news articles but I found it. Stephen was arrested 6 years after he stopped babysitting us. The charges were related to inappropriate contact with a minor. He took a plea deal and served 3 years. He is on a registry now. I sat at Walter's kitchen table staring at my laptop screen. All those years I wondered if I was making too big a deal out of what happened. All those times I questioned if it was really abuse or just something confusing. All the times my parents told me I was lying and corrupted by the internet. And Stephen went on to hurt another kid. I called Gloria. She picked up on the first ring. I asked her why she contacted Tom. She said she believed me about what happened but she wanted to see if Tom remembered anything that could help prove our parents wrong. She said she thought if Tom confirmed even small details, it might help me feel validated. I told her what Tom said about overhearing our parents and what I found online about Stephen's arrest. She went quiet for a long time. Then she said she was sorry she ever doubted me even for a second. We talked for over an hour. She said she understood if I still wanted to divorce her and that she deserved it. She said what she said during the argument was unforgivable and she would regret it for the rest of her life. But she also said that if I gave her another chance, she would spend however long it took making it up to me. I am still at Walter's. I have not decided anything yet. Part of me wants to go back home and try to fix things with Gloria. She did reach out to Tom trying to help me even though we were separated. That means something. But I also cannot forget what she said. I cannot forget the way she used my trauma against me. Even if she was just angry and lashing out, it showed me she is capable of that kind of cruelty. Walter says I should take as much time as I need to decide. Tom says I should do whatever feels right for me, but that Gloria reaching out to him showed she cares. I do not know what to do. Finding out about Stephen's arrest gave me validation I did not know I needed. But it does not solve the problem with my marriage. Update 2: Things have gotten messier since my last update. I stayed at Walter's for another week after finding out about Stephen's arrest. I kept going back and forth about whether to try fixing things with Gloria or just ending it. Walter finally told me I needed to make a decision one way or the other because the limbo was eating me alive. I decided to meet with Gloria again. This time at our apartment instead of a public place. When I got there, she had cooked dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad, but it was clear she put effort into it. We ate mostly in silence. Afterward, we sat on the couch and talked for hours. She told me more about why she pulled away after I told her about Stephen. She said when she was researching trauma online, she came across forums and articles about partners of abuse survivors. Some of them talked about how difficult relationships could be and how trauma affects intimacy and trust. She said she panicked thinking our relationship was doomed and that she would not be enough for me. She said instead of talking to me about her fears, she just shut down. I told her that her pulling away made everything worse. I said when she stopped being affectionate and started acting distant, it felt like she was disgusted by me. She cried and said that was never it. She said she pulled away because she did not trust herself to handle things correctly, not because of anything to do with me. We talked about what she said during the argument. I told her that I could not just get over it. I said when you tell someone you love that they are lying about being abused, you break something fundamental. She agreed. She said she did not expect me to get over it and that she knew she might have ruined everything permanently. She said the words came out of her mouth because she was angry and wanted to win the argument by hurting me, and she knew exactly what would hurt the most. That honesty helped somehow. Not because it made what she said okay, but because she was not trying to minimize it or pretend it was an accident. She owned it completely. We decided to try staying in the same apartment again. I moved back in but told her I was not promising anything long term. We were essentially roommates who used to be married. She agreed to give me space and not push for things to go back to normal. The first week back was awkward. We barely talked beyond necessary things like bills and schedules. She slept in the guest room. I spent most evenings in the bedroom or at the library near our place. But slowly, we started having actual conversations again. Nothing deep, just normal everyday stuff. What happened at work? What to watch on TV? Whether we needed groceries. Then about 3 weeks after I moved back in, my mother called me. We had not spoken in over a year. I usually avoid my parents because of how they reacted when I told them about Stephen as a teenager. But she kept calling, so I finally answered. She said she heard from Tom that Gloria and I were having problems. Tom must have mentioned it to our parents at some point. My mother asked what was going on. I did not want to get into it, but she kept pushing. Finally, I told her that Gloria and I were separated for a while because of an argument related to what happened with Stephen. My mother went silent. Then she said something I did not expect. She said she and my father knew about Stephen's arrest years ago. She said the family Stephen came from contacted my parents after he got arrested. They wanted to warn my parents in case Stephen had done anything to me or Tom. My parents never said anything to me. They never apologized for not believing me. They just kept it to themselves. I asked her why she was telling me this now. She said she thought I should know that they knew. I asked if she believed me now about what Stephen did. She said she always knew deep down that I was telling the truth, but it was easier to blame the internet and modern culture than admit they left us alone with someone dangerous. She said my father still does not like talking about it. I asked if she was apologizing. She said she was sorry they did not handle it better back then. But it was not really an apology. It was more like an acknowledgement that something happened. I told her I needed to go and hung up. I told Gloria about the call with my mother that evening. She asked how I felt about it. I said I did not know. On one hand, it was validating to know my parents knew the truth about Stephen. On the other hand, they never apologized properly or tried to make things right with me. They just let me carry that weight alone for years. Gloria said my parents failed me. She said what they did was wrong and that I deserved better from them. Then she said what she did was also wrong and that she failed me too. She said she knew she could not undo what she said during our argument, but that she wanted to be better. We kept living as roommates for another few weeks. Then one night, I came home late from work. Gloria was sitting on the couch watching TV. She moved over to make room for me and I sat down. We watched together without talking. At some point, she fell asleep with her head tilted toward me. I stayed there not wanting to wake her up. When she woke up an hour later, she apologized for falling asleep on me. I said it was fine. She went to the guest room. But something shifted that night. It felt almost normal for a minute. Last week, I asked Gloria if she wanted to try going to a couples workshop. Not therapy, Just a weekend workshop about communication in relationships. She said yes immediately. We signed up for one happening next month. I am not saying everything is fixed. I am not even saying we will stay together. But I decided I want to at least try. Not because I have forgiven what she said, but because I want to know if we can rebuild something from this. If it does not work, at least I will know I tried. Walter thinks I am making a mistake. He says once someone uses your trauma against you, they will do it again. Maybe he is right. But I need to see for myself. Update 3: I am writing this from a hotel room 2 states away from where Gloria and I lived. I left 4 days ago and I am not going back. The couples workshop happened 3 weeks ago. It was a weekend thing held at a conference center about an hour from our city. There were maybe 15 other couples there. The first day was mostly basic communication exercises and trust activities. Gloria and I participated, but I could tell we were both uncomfortable. Everyone else seemed like they were there for normal relationship issues. We were there because she weaponized my childhood trauma. The second day had breakout sessions where couples talked privately with a facilitator. Gloria and I sat down with a woman named Patricia who asked us to share what brought us to the workshop. I gave a vague answer about trust issues. Gloria was more direct. She told Patricia that she said something unforgivable during an argument and we were trying to see if the relationship could recover. Patricia asked what she said. Gloria looked at me and I nodded. She told Patricia about my disclosure about childhood abuse and how she later accused me of lying about it during an argument. Patricia's expression changed. She asked Gloria why she said that. Gloria gave the same answer she gave me before. That she wanted to hurt me because she was angry. Patricia turned to me and asked if I had forgiven Gloria. I said I had not. She asked if I thought I ever could. I said I did not know. She asked why I was there then. I did not have a good answer. Patricia said that forgiveness does not mean staying in a relationship and that sometimes the healthiest choice is to walk away from someone who hurt you badly even if they are sorry. Gloria started crying. She asked Patricia if she thought our relationship was over. Patricia said it was not her place to decide that, but that rebuilding trust after such a deep betrayal takes years and might never fully happen. She said I needed to decide if I wanted to spend years working on something that might never feel right again. We left the session early. Gloria wanted to stay for the rest of the workshop, but I said I wanted to go home. We drove back in silence. That night, we barely spoke. I kept thinking about what Patricia said. About spending years trying to rebuild something that might never feel whole. 2 weeks ago, something happened that made the decision for me. Gloria and I got into another argument. A small one this time, about me spending too much time at the library instead of at home. She said it felt like I was avoiding her. I said I was not ready to spend all my time at home yet. The argument escalated and she raised her voice. She said she was trying so hard to make things work and I was not meeting her halfway. I raised my voice back. I said she was the one who blew up our marriage and I did not owe her anything. She said she knew that, but that I needed to decide if I was in or out because the limbo was torture for her too. Then she said something that made me see everything clearly. She said if I was going to hold what she said over her head forever, then maybe we should just end it now. She said she apologized and was doing everything she could and that at some point I needed to either forgive her or leave. I realized in that moment that she was making herself the victim. She was treating my inability to instantly forgive her as a character flaw on my part. She was not actually sorry for what she did. She was sorry she was facing consequences for it. I told her I was done. She asked what I meant. I said I was done trying to make this work. I said I did not forgive her and I probably never would and I did not want to spend years pretending. She started backtracking immediately. She said she did not mean it the way it sounded and that she was just frustrated. But I was already past it. I started packing that night. Gloria followed me around the apartment asking me to stop and talk. I did not respond. I just packed everything I could fit into my car. She asked where I was going. I said it did not matter. She asked if I was coming back. I did not answer. I drove to a hotel that night and checked in for a week. The next day, I called a lawyer and started the process for divorce. Gloria has been calling and texting nonstop. I blocked her again after the first day. She sent emails but I have not read them. Tom called me after Gloria reached out to him again. She told him I left and asked if he could talk to me. Tom asked what happened. I told him I finally accepted that some things are too broken to fix. He said he understood and that he supported whatever I decided. Walter said he was not surprised. He said he saw this coming from the beginning. He offered to let me stay with him again but I said I needed space from everything for a while. I am planning to move to a different city. Somewhere neither Gloria nor my parents can just show up. I put in my notice at work. My boss was understanding when I said I was dealing with a divorce and needed a fresh start. I have applications out to several companies in different states. 2 of them have already reached out for interviews. I know this is probably what I should have done from the beginning. I wasted months trying to salvage something that was already dead. But I needed to try so I could live with myself later. Now I know for sure that leaving is the right choice. Gloria does not get to use my trauma against me and then pressure me to get over it on her timeline. She does not get to play victim because I could not forgive her fast enough. Some things you do not come back from. What she said that night during our argument showed me exactly who she is when she is angry. That is not someone I want to be tied to for the rest of my life. I am not sure what happens next. I will move somewhere new and start over. Maybe eventually I will be ready to date again. Maybe not. Right now, I just need distance from all of it. To anyone reading this who stayed with me through these updates, thank you for letting me process this publicly. Writing it out helped me see things more clearly. Sometimes you need outside perspective to realize when you are holding on to something that is already gone. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. My Sil locked her 9-year-old daughter in her room during my nephew's birthday party. When I rescued my niece, my brother broke into my apartment and attacked me. I'm Diana, 31F, and I need to get this off my chest. Yesterday was my nephew Raymond's, 12M, birthday party, and what I witnessed has left me shaking. My brother Harvey, 38M, and his wife Cindy, 36F, have 2 kids, Raymond and his younger sister Jillian, 9F. Ever since they were little, the difference in how Harvey and Cindy treat their children has been obvious. Raymond gets everything he wants, the latest gadgets, expensive clothes, and constant praise. Jillian, on the other hand, barely receives acknowledgement for her achievements. Last week, Jillian participated in her school's science fair. She spent weeks working on her project about plant growth in different types of soil. She won first place, beating kids 2 grades above her. When I called to congratulate her, I could hear the excitement in her voice. But in the background, I heard Cindy saying it was just a little school thing and telling Jillian to keep the noise down because Raymond was playing his video games. The day before Raymond's birthday, I took both kids shopping. I bought Raymond the new PlayStation game he'd been asking for as his birthday present. While at the mall, I also bought Jillian a telescope kit as a congratulatory gift for her science fair win. I made it clear to both children that Raymond's gift was for his birthday, and Jillian's was for her achievement. They both seemed happy with their gifts. When I arrived at Harvey's house for Raymond's birthday party yesterday, something felt off immediately. The house was decorated with balloons and streamers, and I could hear children playing in the backyard. But Jillian was nowhere to be seen. I asked Harvey where Jillian was, and he said she was in her room, thinking about her behavior. When I pressed for details, he brushed me off, saying she had thrown a tantrum and was being punished. It wasn't until I overheard Raymond's friend talking that I learned what actually happened. Apparently, that morning, Raymond and Jillian had argued over which TV show to watch. When Jillian wouldn't give up the remote, Raymond went to her room, found the telescope kit I had given her, and smashed it to pieces. He then told Jillian she didn't deserve nice things because she was stupid and annoying. Jillian, understandably upset, yelled at Raymond. Instead of punishing Raymond for destroying her property, Harvey and Cindy punished Jillian for yelling. They forced her to pick up the broken pieces of her telescope kit and throw them in the trash herself. Then they locked her in her bedroom while Raymond's party went on outside. I went upstairs to check on Jillian. Her door was locked from the outside. Looking through the window at the end of the hallway, I could see that her bedroom window overlooked the backyard, where all the party activities were happening. There was a bouncy castle, a clown making balloon animals, and about 15 kids having a great time. I knocked on Jillian's door, and when she answered, her face was swollen from crying. She told me she had been locked in her room for 3 hours already. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I stormed downstairs and confronted Harvey and Cindy. I told them they were being cruel to Jillian. Harvey just laughed and said I was overreacting. Cindy said Jillian needed to learn to control her emotions and that Raymond couldn't help it if Jillian provoked him. I told them I was taking Jillian with me. Harvey physically blocked my path to the stairs, reminding me of how he used to block doorways when we were kids to keep me from leaving rooms. I realized if I caused a scene, they might prevent me from seeing Jillian altogether in the future. So instead, I did something else. I walked right up to Raymond, who was opening his presents. He looked at me expectantly, knowing I had his game. I told him I was not giving him his present because of how he treated his sister. The look of shock on his face was almost satisfying, but what happened next wasn't. Harvey started yelling at me in front of all the party guests. Cindy rushed over and told me I was ruining Raymond's special day. Raymond started crying, saying it wasn't fair. Most of the other adults, our parents, some aunts and uncles, Cindy's parents, all looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable. I left the party, drove about a mile away, and had to pull over because my hands were shaking too badly to drive safely. I couldn't stop thinking about Jillian's face pressed against her bedroom window, watching other kids have fun at a party she wasn't allowed to attend, all because her brother destroyed something that was hers and she had the audacity to be upset about it. Our family has a history of favoring sons over daughters. I experienced it myself growing up with Harvey. My parents always gave him more freedom, more gifts, and more attention. It seems like Harvey is continuing this pattern with his own children, and Cindy is enabling it. I don't know what to do now. Harvey and Cindy are furious with me for embarrassing them at the party and for not giving Raymond his gift. But all I can think about is Jillian, locked in her room, being punished for something that wasn't her fault. Should I have handled this differently? Am I wrong for withholding Raymond's gift? More importantly, what can I do to help Jillian? I'm worried about her growing up in an environment where she's constantly treated as less important than her brother. Update 1. Thank you all for your supportive comments and suggestions. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks, so I'll try to update as clearly as possible. The morning after Raymond's birthday party, I called Harvey. I knew I needed to get Jillian out of that house, at least temporarily. I carefully worded my request, suggesting that Jillian stay with me for a few days to cool down after being disrespectful to Raymond. I hated saying those words, but I knew it was the only way Harvey would agree. Surprisingly, Harvey agreed immediately. He said it would teach Jillian a lesson to be away from her family. When I picked Jillian up, she barely spoke. She had a small backpack with a few clothes and her school books. I noticed she didn't bring any toys or personal items. First things first, I took Jillian to a store and bought her a new telescope kit, an even better one than the one Raymond had destroyed. I told her she could keep it at my apartment so nothing would happen to it. We also stopped for ice cream. By the time we got to my place, Jillian was talking more freely. That evening, after Jillian seemed more comfortable, we had a longer conversation. What she told me was worse than I had imagined. The favoritism wasn't occasional, it was constant. Raymond regularly broke or hid Jillian's things, and when she complained, Harvey would laugh it off as sibling rivalry. Cindy would tell Jillian to stop being so sensitive. But the most disturbing revelation came when I asked about an incident from a few months ago. Jillian had fallen down the stairs and sprained her wrist. At the time, Harvey had said she was being careless. Jillian now revealed that Raymond had actually pushed her as a joke. While Jillian was crying in pain at the bottom of the stairs, Harvey had laughed and told her to stop making a scene. A neighbor heard the commotion and drove Jillian to the hospital, not her parents. I was stunned. I called my parents to confirm this story, hoping they would deny it. After some hesitation, my mother admitted she knew what had happened. She defended Harvey, saying children play rough sometimes and that Jillian needed to toughen up. I decided I needed more information before confronting Harvey and Cindy. I spoke with the neighbor who had taken Jillian to the hospital. She confirmed Jillian's story and added that she had considered calling Child Protective Services but was worried about creating neighborhood drama. After gathering evidence, including photos of Jillian's previous injuries and text messages where Harvey and Cindy dismissed Jillian's complaints, I invited them to my apartment. I made sure Jillian was at a friend's house for this meeting. When they arrived, I laid out everything I had learned. I showed them the evidence. I told them I knew about Raymond pushing Jillian down the stairs, about the constant bullying, and about their dismissal of Jillian's feelings and achievements. Harvey became angry and stood up, moving toward me in a threatening way. I calmly pointed to the security camera I had installed in my living room after the birthday party incident. He sat back down. I presented them with 2 options. They could voluntarily allow Jillian to live with me permanently, with me covering most expenses except health insurance and school fees, or I would report everything to Child Protective Services and share the evidence publicly. Harvey called me several nasty names. Cindy cried and accused me of trying to steal her daughter. When I reminded Cindy how she had once said, during her pregnancy with Jillian, that she had considered termination because she didn't want another child, she called Jillian a terrible name in our family's native language. They left without giving me a firm answer, but they agreed to let Jillian stay with me for now. The next day, I consulted with a friend who is a family lawyer. She advised me to get written confirmation of their agreement. I texted Cindy, and she replied with a voice message stating that Jillian could stay with me until things calm down. Jillian has been quiet but seems relieved to be away from her parents and Raymond. We painted the spare bedroom purple, her favorite color, and set up her new telescope by the window. She hasn't asked about going home or mentioned her parents much. I've been working extra hours at my freelance job to save more money. I had been saving for a down payment on a house, but that can wait. Jillian's needs come first now. My parents have been calling nonstop, telling me I'm overreacting and tearing the family apart. I've stopped answering their calls. My cousin Sarah, who has 3 daughters, has been incredibly supportive. She's offered to help if I need backup. If for some reason I can't keep Jillian, Sarah and her husband would take her in. I'm worried there might be more that Jillian hasn't told me yet. I've scheduled an appointment with a child therapist for next week. Harvey and Cindy haven't called to check on Jillian in 5 days. I know what I did, essentially blackmailing my brother and sister-in-law, was extreme. But when I see Jillian slowly beginning to relax, to speak up more, to not flinch when someone raises their voice, I know it was the right decision. I do worry about Raymond. He's being raised to believe his behavior is acceptable. He's learning that he can hurt others without consequences. But right now, my priority has to be Jillian. 1 child at a time. Update 2 first, I want to thank everyone for their supportive messages. Many of you offered to send clothes, toys, and even money for Jillian. While I appreciate the generosity, I'm financially stable enough to provide for Jillian's basic needs. Some friends have given us hand-me-down clothes and books, which has been helpful. It's been a month since my last update, and things have been relatively stable, with some unexpected developments. Jillian has been slowly settling into life at my apartment. She's still quiet around new people, but at home, she's becoming more animated. Her room is now filled with science books, craft supplies, and yes, many stuffed animals. She named her 2 largest stuffed bears Newton and Einstein, proof that she's truly a science kid at heart. An unexpected visitor arrived at my door last week, Cindy's mother, Mrs. Chen. She asked to see Jillian, who was hesitant but agreed to a short visit. Mrs. Chen spent about an hour with us, mostly observing Jillian and asking if she was happy living with me. Before leaving, she pressed an envelope into my hand containing $2,000 in cash. She told me she would send money monthly to help with Jillian's expenses. I was surprised, as Mrs. Chen had always seemed to favor Raymond just as much as Harvey and Cindy did. Mrs. Chen asked if she could visit again. I agreed but made it clear that I would need to be present for all visits. She accepted this condition without argument. She's a very reserved woman, and I suspect she cares for Jillian but didn't feel she could intervene in Harvey and Cindy's parenting before. Raymond called last week, asking to speak with Jillian. I put him on speakerphone and stayed in the room. To my surprise, he was civil and mainly talked about some baby rabbits they had found in their backyard. Jillian seemed cautiously happy to talk to him. I'm reminded that Raymond is still just a child, albeit one who has been taught some troubling behaviors. I'm considering allowing him to visit occasionally, under my supervision, to maintain their sibling relationship in a controlled environment. I finally had a serious conversation with my parents. I told them they could only contact Jillian if they acknowledged the harm that had been done to her and showed gratitude that she was now in a safe environment. My mother started arguing, but when I mentioned that at least now Raymond had their full attention, she became silent. This confirmed my suspicion that they were well aware of the favoritism and abuse. Jillian had a medical examination, arranged through my lawyer friend. I was relieved to learn there were no signs of any serious physical abuse beyond what I already knew. The doctor noted the previous wrist injury and some faded bruises on her legs. The examination was stressful for Jillian, so afterward, we spent the day watching movies and eating popcorn. Jillian has started at her new school, which is closer to my apartment. Her teacher says she's academically advanced but socially withdrawn. We're working on that together. Harvey and Cindy still haven't reached out directly to me or Jillian, though I know they're in contact with my parents. My lawyer has drafted a more formal temporary custody agreement, which we're preparing to send to them. While things are going well, I remain vigilant. My security system has been upgraded, and I've informed Jillian's school that only I am authorized to pick her up. I don't put it past Harvey to try something impulsive. For now, we're taking things day by day. Jillian is safe, which is what matters most. Update 3. I never expected to be writing this update, especially not from a hospital room. The past week has been the most challenging of my life. 4 days ago, there was a scheduled power outage in my apartment building for electrical maintenance. The power went out as expected at 10 a.m. but came back on after an hour. Later that evening, around 8 p.m., the power suddenly cut off again. I thought it was related to the earlier maintenance, but I was wrong. I heard a loud crash at my front door. Before I could react, Harvey burst into my apartment. I immediately pushed Jillian into my bedroom and told her to lock the door. Harvey looked different, wild-eyed and aggressive. He lunged at me, shouting that I had ruined his life. What followed was brutal. Harvey attacked me, punching me repeatedly. I tried to defend myself, but he overpowered me quickly. My neighbors heard the commotion. Mr. Wilson from next door broke in through my already damaged door and pulled Harvey off me. Mrs. Wilson's teenage daughter called the police. By the time the police arrived, I was bleeding from a cut on my forehead, my left eye was swollen shut, and I could barely stand due to pain in my right leg. The scene was chaotic, I was injured, Jillian was hysterical, and Harvey was still trying to break free from Mr. Wilson's restraint. Harvey told the police I had kidnapped Jillian and was mistreating her. He claimed he and Raymond, who wasn't actually present, had come to rescue her. The police seemed uncertain until I managed to show them the voice message from Cindy agreeing to Jillian staying with me. What really convinced them was Jillian's behavior. She clung to me and became hysterical when an officer suggested she go with her father. I was taken to the hospital with Jillian accompanying me in the ambulance. The doctors confirmed I had no broken bones, but severe bruising and a sprained ankle. I stayed overnight for observation. The next morning, my parents showed up at the hospital, demanding to take Jillian home with them. The police officer who had stayed with us intervened, saying Jillian would remain with me until Child Protective Services could assess the situation. 2 days after the attack, while I was recovering at home, a social worker arrived at my apartment. Due to the serious nature of Harvey's claims about Jillian's welfare, they needed to investigate immediately. Despite my protests and all the evidence I presented, they determined Jillian needed to be removed from my care temporarily, pending investigation. They placed Jillian with my cousin Sarah and her family. I'm currently only allowed supervised visits with Jillian. She calls me daily, crying and asking when she can come home. Harvey was arrested for assault, but my parents posted bail almost immediately. Cindy has been spreading rumors about me among family and friends, claiming I'm unstable and dangerous. She's using my past history of anxiety, which I experienced after our mother's cancer scare 5 years ago, as evidence of my mental instability. I've hired a specialized family lawyer who comes highly recommended. She's confident that once the investigation is complete, Jillian will be returned to my care. The evidence against Harvey and Cindy is substantial, including testimony from the neighbor who took Jillian to the hospital after Raymond pushed her down the stairs. To my surprise, the social worker informed me yesterday that Raymond has also been removed from Harvey and Cindy's home and placed with my parents temporarily. Apparently, when they interviewed Raymond, he revealed that his parents had coached him to lie about me. The psychologist who assessed both children noted concerning patterns in Raymond's behavior but attributed them to his upbringing rather than any inherent issues. I'm trying to focus on healing both physically and emotionally. A friend has been staying with me, as I'm still jumpy and sleeping poorly. I've installed a generator as backup for my security system. I keep replaying the attack in my mind, wondering if I could have prevented it or if I should have seen it coming. I visited Jillian at Sarah's house yesterday. Sarah's daughters have been wonderful with Jillian, including her in their activities and sharing their toys. Jillian seemed calmer than I expected, showing me an art project she had created with her cousins. Before I left, she whispered that she wanted to come home, but she understood why she couldn't right now. Seeing Jillian with Sarah's family has made me consider whether staying there might actually be better for her in the long run. Sarah and her husband have stable jobs, a large house, and 3 girls who have already bonded with Jillian. They've mentioned they would consider adopting Jillian if it came to that. The idea breaks my heart but also provides some comfort. I want what's best for Jillian, even if that means she doesn't live with me permanently. Harvey lost his job due to his arrest and the publicity surrounding it. I didn't intend for that to happen, but I also can't bring myself to feel sorry for him. My parents cornered me at the hospital yesterday, accusing me of destroying Harvey's life and breaking up his family. They showed no concern for my injuries or for what Jillian had experienced. My lawyer, who was present, asked them to leave. I have my first therapy session scheduled for next week to help process the trauma of the attack. As for Raymond, he remains with my parents. I've been told I should consider building a relationship with him again once things settle down. Friends have suggested that if Raymond stays with our parents long term, he'll likely continue down the same path as Harvey. Some have even implied I should consider taking him in eventually. I don't know if I can do that. Every time I think of Raymond, I remember how he participated in his parents' scheme to take Jillian away from me. I know he's a product of his environment, but right now, I can't separate that from the harm he's caused. For now, I'm focusing on healing and on clearing my name so I can be there for Jillian, whatever form that takes. The journey has been harder and more complex than I ever imagined when I stood up for Jillian at that birthday party 3 months ago. But I don't regret it for a second.